I've had enough of your nonsense. You people don't know how to behave. Such inferior animals. What do you mean, you people? I asked, my voice steady but loud enough for the camera to pick up. I guessed that would probably exactly what was needed to tip him over his breaking point. Don't play dumb, Tyson. You know exactly what I mean. Just stop. He started pacing the room, throwing insults left and right. When Mia tried to answer a question, he interrupted her. Kids like you will never amount to anything anyway. Your kind is only good in sports. You're trying my patience. Just shut up and pay attention. And then, the moment we'd been waiting for, he snapped. He picked up a book and hurled it at Jordan, who ducked just in time. Then he turned to me, stormed over, and slapped me across the face. Then he said, "Imagine if the slave trade didn't happen. Some of you wouldn't even be here." All the while, he was calling us names and using slurs that I refused to repeat. The classroom fell silent. No one dared to move. Then, just as the tension reached its peak, the door opened and in walked the principal, Ms. Reynolds. Hi there, my name is Tyson, and this is the story of what happened to me when I was younger and in the 4th grade. It was quite a year that was full of excitement and chaos. It all started on the first day of school. I'd spent the summer imagining how awesome the year would be. New subjects, new friends, and a brand new teacher. But then I met Mr. Ford. At first glance, Mr. Ford looked like any other teacher. Tall, graying hair, glasses that always seemed to slide down his nose. But it didn't take long to realize that he wasn't like any teacher I'd ever had before. Up to that point in my life, I had never met someone like him. Someone that very clearly didn't like kids like me. Kids who looked like me. And by kids like me, I mean black kids. All right, class, welcome to the 4th grade. I expect discipline and respect in my classroom. Let's see if any of you can meet my standards. Seems like there are a lot of potential troublemakers this year. It was such a strange thing to say. I knew the majority of the kids in the class, and aside from 1 or 2 of them. Like me, they were all pretty good kids. At first I was confused, but I just assumed that he was either joking or that he was just very strict. But as the weeks went on, it became clear that his standards were different, depending on who you were. For example, one day we had a math test. I studied hard for it and felt confident about my answers. When Mr. Ford handed back the tests, I was stunned to see a big red F at the top of mine. I flipped through the pages, comparing my answers to my friend Jake's paper. Jake, who is white, had given the exact same answers as me, but he got an A. "Mr. Ford, I think there's been a mistake. I checked my answers, and I think you made a mistake." "You think so, huh?" "Well, no, I made no mistake, Tyson. Maybe if you paid more attention, you'd do better." "But I compared my answers to Jake, and you marked them correct on his paper." "Well, then I would chalk it up to your very poor handwriting. Maybe if you would write your answers down legibly, I would have marked them correct. That's all on you." My stomach churned. I wanted to argue, but the look on his face told me it wouldn't matter. It wasn't just me either. Other black kids in the class, like my friends Mia and Jordan, started noticing the same pattern. No matter how hard we tried, our work was never good enough for Mr. Ford. Things got worse as the weeks went on. Mr. Ford wasn't just unfair, he was outright cruel and racist. I remember one day in class, Mr. Ford asked me if I could speak to monkeys. The whole class burst into laughter. I was so embarrassed that I felt sad all day. To make matters worse, he had a terrible temper and would lose his cool easily. If one of us answered a question wrong, he'd throw a piece of chalk or even a book at us. He usually missed, but from time to time, he actually hurt one of us. "Wrong again, Tyson. Why am I not surprised? Why do you people always say such stupid things?" It was at that point that Mr. Ford threw a large piece of chalk at me. The piece hit me in the face just below my right eye.
You can't do that. That's not fair.
"Sit down, Mia, unless you want detention for talking back. Although maybe you should get detention. After all, it would be good practice for when you'll undoubtedly end up in prison later in life." I could feel the tension in the room. The sneer on Mr. Ford's face made him look very menacing and hostile. We all finally knew what was happening, but we didn't know what to do about it. That's when Jordan came up with an idea. What if we record him? Like, what if we do a live stream and show what he's doing, so everyone can see it? We can send out notifications to all our friends and family members, and let them know to watch the live stream. You mean, set up a hidden camera? Number. We'll just use one of our phones. We'll prop it up where he can't see it and stream the class. He does something awful every day, so we're pretty much guaranteed to catch something bad.
But what if we get caught?
What's the worst that can happen? He already treats us like garbage. We've got nothing to lose. And maybe we get lucky and he does something really bad and gets fired? It was risky, but we all agreed it was worth a shot. The next day, we set up Mia's phone, my phone, and Jordan's as well. We decided that there was a chance that Mr. Ford might notice one phone and confiscate it, but there was less likely of a chance that he would notice all three. We set them up in the corners of the room, angled just right to capture Mr. Ford's behavior. Then we waited. It didn't take long for Mr. Ford to lose his cool. We started pushing back, asking questions we knew would irritate him. Jordan deliberately gave wrong answers, and Mia challenged his corrections. Within minutes, Mr. Ford's face turned bright red. It was clear that he was very close to exploding. I've had enough of your nonsense. You people don't know how to behave. Such inferior animals. What do you mean, you people? I asked, my voice steady but loud enough for the camera to pick up. I guessed that would probably exactly what was needed to tip him over his breaking point. Don't play dumb, Tyson. You know exactly what I mean. Just stop. He started pacing the room, throwing insults left and right. When Mia tried to answer a question, he interrupted her. Kids like you will never amount to anything anyway. Your kind is only good in sports. You're trying my patience. Just shut up and pay attention. And then, the moment we'd been waiting for, he snapped. He picked up a book and hurled it at Jordan, who ducked just in time. Then he turned to me, stormed over, and slapped me across the face. Then he said, "Imagine if the slave trade didn't happen. Some of you wouldn't even be here." All the while, he was calling us names and using slurs that I refused to repeat. The classroom fell silent. No one dared to move. Then, just as the tension reached its peak, the door opened and in walked the principal, Ms. Reynolds.
Mr. Ford, please come with me.
What's this about? I'm in the middle of a lesson.
We'll discuss it in my office. Now please follow me right now. Children, please just stay here. We won't be longer than a few minutes.
He followed her out, still looking baffled. As soon as the door closed, Mia grabbed her phone and ended the live stream. We knew we'd done it. Word spread quickly, and by the end of the day, the entire school knew about what had happened. Later, we found out that one of the parents who had been watching the live stream showed up at the school. They confronted Mr. Ford while he waited in the principal's office. The parent barged in and got into a physical fight with Mr. Ford, leaving him bruised and battered before the police arrived. We also heard that Mr. Ford was arrested for child abuse and that he was fired from his job. The live stream was shared online, and the footage went viral. People from all over the country were outraged. But karma wasn't done with him just yet. His wife, after seeing the live stream and having to endure the fallout from it, ended up divorcing him, taking their kids, and moving far away. Years later, when Mr. Ford got out of prison, he found that he couldn't escape his past. Everywhere he went, people recognized him. He changed his name and moved to another country, but no matter where he went, someone always found out who he was. He never found peace again and could never hold down a job for more than a few months at a time. As for me, I kept track of every time he had to move. Each time I heard about it, I felt a sense of justice. What he did to us was unforgivable, and now he continues paying the price for it every single day. Now you may think that what we did to him and the joy I feel about how much he is suffering isn't justified, but I doubt that we were the first class to deal with his racist behavior, so I feel completely justified with what happened to him. Oddly enough, Jordan and Mia are still friends of mine, and just the other day we were talking about old Mr. Ford.
Do you ever feel bad for him? I know he was racist and cruel, but he's suffered a lot.
Not for a second. He deserves every bit of it. Just think about how many kids he must have traumatized in the decades that he spent teaching. People like him just spread their hatred and anger everywhere. It's sad, really. At least now, he can't hurt any more children. And I meant it. Some people might call it petty, but to me, it was justice. Mr. Ford ruined what should have been one of the best years of our young lives. Thanks for watching.